Hello students, myself Bindu teacher. This year I'll be teaching social science in class 8. So come on, let's begin with the first chapter, Arrival of Europeans in India. Before we begin this chapter, now let me give you a brief history about our ancient India. India was the richest country in the world in the olden days, and India has an important place among the world nations. Due to the prosperity of India, people from various countries of the world came to India just for doing trade with our country, and therefore they could earn a lot of wealth from India. There was a time when India was called Sone ki Chidiya. India was called so just because of the richness of India. Okay, and India has also a rich tradition of cultural and natural heritage. Compared to the culture of other countries of the world, Indian culture is unique. Now, let me read this first paragraph for you. We have learned in the previous standard that many years ago, our country was one of the leading countries in the world. Our country was distinct in the whole world. The people of various countries were being influenced by our culture and prosperity. Many people worldwide were eager to enter into trade with our country and earn wealth out of it. So, this is what I just said in the introduction also, that since ancient times, many people from other countries they came to India. We know that so many people from different tribes, from different parts of the world, they came here to our country. People like Aryans, Persians, Mughals, Turkish people, Portuguese, Dutch people, Britishers, French people, they all came to our country, and India accepted or welcomed all these people to our country. Thus, since ancient times, India had a very good relationship with many countries of the world. Now, let me read the second paragraph. Earlier, the merchants from the various countries came to India from northwest by land route, since Constantinople was conquered by Turk Muslims for the purpose of trading. For years, the Arab traders undertook trade through land route. But as situations changed, trade through land route stopped. Consequently, the demand for Indian commodities like silk, cotton clothes, muslin, black pepper, spices, etc. increased in the European countries. To take advantage of this situation, many countries of Europe started searching for a sea route to India. So, in this paragraph, it is said that in ancient India, the traders from other countries came to India, especially from the northwest direction, through a land route named Constantinople. I'll show you in the map here. See, the people from northwest direction came to India through a land route named Constantinople. Okay, so this is, you can see here, the Constantinople. So the people from this northwest direction, they used to come to India and to China, through this land route. But what happened to this place in the year 1453? This place was captured by the Turkish people, the Turkish Muslims captured, conquered this place, Constantinople, and they closed this land route for the Europeans. They did not allow the Europeans to use this trade route, to reach India or to reach the Asian countries. So you should remember that at this time there was a great demand for Indian spices, then cotton clothes, other clothes like muslin clothes, silk clothes, Kashmiri clothes. Okay, so various things from India had a great demand in the European countries. So there was a necessity came before these Europeans to discover a new sea route to reach India. Thus, a period of geographical discoveries began in Europe. Many countries of Europe, started their expeditions to find out a new sea route to reach India. Now, we learn about an Italian sailor who started his expedition to discover India. Let me read it out. Columbus, an Italian explorer, was one of the brave sailors who ventured out to find the sea route to India. He thought that one can go to the east via west also. Why did he believe so? Think about it. Columbus started his journey to India and accidentally he reached America. As long as he lived, he was under the misconception that he had discovered the sea route to India. Hence, even today, the natives of America are called Red Indians and the island group in the Caribbean is known as West Indies. Okay, so the name of the sailor was Christopher Columbus. He was an Italian sailor. He started his adventure to discover a new sea route to India. So he started his voyage towards the west. He was supposed to reach east. Okay, he was supposed to reach India, but he thought that since the world is round shaped, if he could sail west, definitely he could reach the east. So that is why he started his expedition towards the west direction. But what happened to this man? Unfortunately, he came to another place, that is a group of islands in the Caribbean Sea. Today it is known as West Indies. That place where Columbus reached is known as West Indies, which is a part of the present America. Even today, the native people of America are called Red Indians. So, our poor Columbus thought that he reached India. Till his death, he believed that he had discovered India. Then later on, another sailor, Amerigo Vespucci, came to this place and clarified that this place where Columbus reached is not India. So, later this land was named as America as it was discovered by Amerigo Vespucci. So, this is the picture of Christopher Columbus. Now, we learn about another sailor, Vasco da Gama. Vasco da Gama was a Portuguese sailor. He was a native from Portugal. Okay, he started his expedition from Lisbon port in Portugal and he encircled the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, and at last he reached the port of Calicut, which is in Kerala coast, on 22nd May 1498. I'll show you the route map through which Vasco da Gama came to India. Look here. So this is Lisbon port. Vasco da Gama started his voyage from this port and he encircled Cape of Good Hope, which is on the southern tip of Africa. That is Cape of Good Hope. He encircled that Cape of Good Hope and then he reached the Indian Ocean, and at last he came to the southern part of India. That means the Calicut fort in Kerala, where he reached on 22nd May 1498. Then when Vasco da Gama came there, this Calicut was ruled by the King Zamorin. So this King Zamorin gave permission to Vasco da Gama to trade with India. Okay, he gave permission to Vasco da Gama. That means the Portuguese people were allowed by King Zamorin to establish the trade center in Calicut. Thus, they established their fort in Calicut for trade in 1500 AD and they also fortified it. Fortified means they made long walls around the fort, okay, for its protection. And also a commander-in-chief was appointed for the protection of the fort. The name of the commander-in-chief of Portuguese was Albuquerque. Under his leadership, the Portuguese started conquering other places like Goa, and within a period of 100 years, they established the trade centers in Mangalore, Cochin, Goa, Diu, Mumbai, and even in Sri Lanka. These people, Portuguese people, had complete monopoly of trade in India for a period of 100 years. So they had no rivals during this time of 100 years. Portuguese people had no rivals for trade here in India. This is a picture of Vasco da Gama. Okay. Now we learn about the end of Portuguese rule. In the beginning of the 17th century, the Portuguese expanded their trade to Bengal. At this time, the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan ruled India from Delhi. The Subedar of Bengal complained to Shah Jahan about the behavior of the Portuguese. Thus, the fort of Hooghly was demolished and the ships were burnt as per the order of the emperor. In this way, the Portuguese rule came to end with the exception of territories of Diu, Daman and Goa. So what is said here in this paragraph? In the beginning of 17th century, these people, Portuguese people, they expanded their trade centers in Bengal. During that time, India was ruled by the Mughal dynasty. Delhi was their center. Okay, Shah Jahan was the ruler of Delhi at that time, and the Portuguese people's behavior was not liked by the Subedars of Bengal. Subedar means the Governor General who was doing the administration for or helping the emperor to do the administration. So these Subedars complained to Shah Jahan about the behavior of the Portuguese people. Thus, as per the order of Shah Jahan, their fort at Hooghly was demolished and their ships were also burnt. So, in this way, the rule of Portuguese in Bengal came to an end. And, during this time, the other European powers like the Dutch, Britishers, and the French also came to India. They had established their dominance in India, and the Portuguese rule was limited only to Diu, Daman and Goa. Okay, so these places, Diu, Daman and Goa, became the prestigious symbols of the Portuguese people. After the Portuguese people, the Dutch came to India. Let me read that for you. After 100 years of the arrival of the Portuguese, at the end of the 16th century, the Dutch of Holland, now the Netherlands, came to India for trading. Initially, they established forts at Pulicat and Madras, now Chennai. They also established a trading center at Agra in the year 1663. Meanwhile, the British also arrived in India. The Dutch could not withstand the competition against the British. So, in this paragraph, it is said that at the end of the 16th century, the Dutch people came to India. So, Dutch people were the people of Holland. Today, Holland is known as Netherlands. So, seeing the prosperity of the Portuguese people over a period of 100 years, the Dutch also came here for trade with India. So, in the initial period, they established their forts at Pulicat, which is in Andhra Pradesh, and Madras, that is today's Chennai in Tamil Nadu. So, they established their forts over these places. They had also established a trading center at Agra in the year 1663. But what happened to these people? Due to the dominance of the British in India by this time, the Dutch could not withstand the competition against the Britishers. So, they had to go back to their own country. They could not dominate over any places here in India. So, they had to leave India. Hope you all understood these topics clearly. Let us wind up this session here today, and the remaining part of this chapter will be continued in the next session. Until then, take care. Bye. Thank you.